Right on. So we're at Build 2018, and we're here with some Service Fabric customers. And you're Mikkel. Introduce yourself. I don't think people know you.
Well, I don't know if they do, but yeah, my name is Mikkel. I'm part of the program management team, Service Fabric. Been in the Service Fabric PM team for almost a year now. I've been doing a lot of Service Fabric tooling with Visual Studio before that, so I'm very accustomed to the product at this point.
Excellent. So we're lucky enough to have a group of folks from Accenture with us today.
Yeah,
all right.
That is correct.
So please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jim Schubert. I'm with Accenture CIO. I'm part of the enterprise architecture group that's putting in containers.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Dan Shockey. I'm also from Accenture CIO group. That's our internal group for managing all the applications that we use to run our business within CIO. And I'm also part of our enterprise architecture group.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Colin Cole, and I'm a cloud solution architect out in the field working with Accenture from Microsoft to help them deploy and use Service Fabric as well as all the other great Azure services.
Great. So what did you guys build on Service Fabric?
So we're taking our legacy .NET applications and moving them into Service Fabric. The idea is to reduce our hosting costs, to reduce the amount of effort that it takes to manage our vulnerabilities and the patching of all the application servers and get more efficiencies out of our environment.
Okay. And so you have a monolithic application now, and you're going to turn into several monolithics?
Yes.
Now they're going to be many microservices.
No, they'll actually be more efficiently hosted.
Okay.
So the idea is that our applications are going to go, our legacy .NET applications that have been around for a long time, we're going to put them in containers. We're not going to have to rewrite much in the way of code. We're just going to be able to enable the DevOps features that we currently have with VSTS that the teams aren't necessarily using, and getting a more secure environment for our applications to run.
Interesting.
So yeah, I think what's very interesting what Accenture is doing here, and we see other customers doing that as well, is not necessarily taking on the full depth and breadth of Service Fabric to begin with, but more following an approach where using core orchestration capabilities and the fact that Service Fabric can do containers to sort of put themselves on a path of modernizing your whole application portfolio, very specifically your .NET application, which is the one you're taking on right now. So setting up, it's been very inspiring for me to work with you guys and seeing how you use the technology to set up sort of a development platform to get the existing development teams onboarded into using Windows container technology and get them hosted into Service Fabric. And maybe you can tell a little bit more about the plans going forward, because I think you have about at least 400 applications or something like that you're working on at this point.
Yes, we have a large portfolio of applications that we're looking to move to containers. So we're getting all of our foundational processes in place. The idea of how applications will be migrated, how we'll operationalize the applications as containers, how we'll run this as a platform, and we're starting with our standard service tier applications, which are not business critical, but we are, in the future we'll be looking at some of our more high profile applications, once we've got everything down pat.
Okay, interesting. So, I guess you mentioned containers. So I guess I'm confused because I always think microservices and containers and moving away from monolithic to the world where you decouple everything.
Exactly.
Isn't that what we're talking about? Isn't that
is definitely a goal for a lot of people to get there. But, what we see a lot of customers be successful with is that taking something existing and trying to go directly to a microservices model is extremely hard. But the fact is that there are lots of incremental steps you can do along the way where you can sort of start reaping some of the benefits of just getting into a more agile DevOps workflow, so to speak. By taking something existing and just start wrapping them in containers and sort of using that as deployment. And I think some of the great stuff you've been doing there is figuring how you can provide the sort of the base platform for a lot of development teams to sort of get onboarded into that and change the way that you actually deploy applications from being based on apps and servers to be developers output the final container that's going to be the stuff that you run in the infrastructure, right?
Yeah, so our applications will be containerized. To Mikkel's point, the idea is that we want to get them into containers now. Now that we're going to start seeing the benefits of the lower hosting costs, they'll be able to then take that money and reinvest it into the applications and look to modernize them.
Okay, no, it makes sense. I mean, it was a lead-in question. So it really is smart to, rather than just jump in and break everything, put it all back together, you're going and doing it intelligently. And so the cool thing about containers, you spin them up, shoot them down, you treat them like a function. That's what they are, right? You have some comments, sir? No, you're just like nodding like
I am
this
nodding.
guy's
I'm
nuts.
agreeing. And so, containers really are strategic for us, right? So we know that we are, long term, we're going to move everything to a more serverless, microservice-based, platform. But since we started with, around 400 to 600 applications that we run every day, it's not practical to do all that at once, right?
Sure.
It's strategic for us in a number of ways. It gets our foot in the door, right? Getting app teams used to spinning up their application very, very quickly. It gets, promotes things like shifting all of our testing left, shifting our security left, being able to detect, what's good about the application, what's bad about the application before we even spin it up live in production. Things that we can't do today without going through some, very expensive steps. Spinning up a VM, it takes 20 minutes to get a VM up and running, get the application out there. By the time you run your testing and some scans, there's probably already additional vulnerabilities out there.
It's a good way.
Ouch.
We have another JavaScript framework, right? We have this little thing on the window in Office. It's like 0 days since the last JavaScript framework. And it just always stays like 0. It's the same with the vulnerabilities, I guess. It's very funny.
So where exactly does Service Fabric fit in? In other words, you could do all of this in IaaS, right? So what are you doing specifically, and how has Service Fabric really made your life easier?
So Service Fabric has given us the orchestration capabilities, the idea of being able to scale out our applications, be able to have environments that provide portability for our applications. So if we decide we want to move into a different platform, if we want to move to the new technology like the mesh that's going to come out from Service Fabric, then we've got a good basis to start.
Okay.
You had this you just did a talk in here, and I think one of the things that you did as part of your talk is you talked about how you used to have like 14 VMs to run 14 apps. Now it's like just one VM to run the 14 containers, right? So there really is some consolidation and benefits you also get from this.
Yeah, because that's
Exactly.
Yeah, and for high availability, right now we're running a minimum of 2 VMs for every application that needs HA. And with Service Fabric, we don't have to do that. We can run a single instance and still get high availability out of it.
A single instance of a virtual machine?
A single instance of a container.
Of a
Service
container, of
Fabric.
course.
Because the orchestration has all the monitoring and health checking that we need to make sure that container is always running somewhere in the cluster.
And how big are your clusters?
I don't know, Jim. How big are our clusters?
Can we talk about the size of your clusters?
So yes, we have 5 primary nodes in our cluster,
Okay.
And we have 7 web nodes in a cluster. So the idea is that we have clusters per environment, so dev, stage, prod, and a sandbox environment that we work with.
Great.
Which will grow over time as they add more apps. They'll add more to the web node type and expand that out potentially to a much larger number. So they're looking at potentially having this managed set of VMs using VM scale sets, kind of technology behind that Service Fabric is managing for them. They don't have to do anything anymore. They just keep adding containers to these clusters, deciding how many instances they want, adding a new node when appropriate, and they're always sort of right-sized. They're always in effect optimized and only using what they need. So it gives them a lot more control versus what they're doing today, which is a lot of VMs.
Understood. And a lot of management of these machines, upgrades, patches, all that fun stuff. You're not going to miss that.
I'm not going to miss that at all. That's the least desirable part of the IT industry right
Understood.
there. Is maintaining, it's the old adage of, you don't want to treat your servers like pets.
Amen.
Right? You just want it to happen. You want that compute layer that just runs your code religiously and is always up to date and up to speed.
Excellent.
So one of the things I like that you've done, and I haven't actually seen that at other customers at this point, is how you provide these centralized container images with a sort of hardened and approved for applications to run inside Azure. So basically, for any dev team that has their application, can just take it and you provide, a secured and sort of vetted baseline or validated baseline for them to go and run their applications in. So even as an app team taking on containerizing the application, it's just so easy, right? They don't have to figure out what the whole container ecosystem is, which base image to derive from among the images out there, because you're sort of taking care of all of that. You build the CI, the CD pipelines for them, using all these integrated features with Azure, like issues and team services and so on. So, how do you see, how's the application teams taking that on? I mean, what's the feedback you get? Is it hard for them to start doing development with containers, or is it as easy as you just described it? It's supposed to be.
It is as easy as you described it because of the fact that they don't have to worry about that stuff. We're taking care of the hard work for them, making sure that, one of our mantras is everything's got to be secure. We cannot let anything go into our environment that's not. The idea is that we just provide it to them. They just do their pull, they've got it. We know we've got consistency across all of them. We've taught the client teams who have suffered from 5 different images running around, and they still have to then do vulnerability management. With us having just one image, we mitigate all that.
Cool. Excellent. So there's some stranger just decided to come and visit us. What's up, Deep?
Hi.
What's going on?
Not much.
I liked your marketing pitch in there. It was impressive.
Where?
In the booth, man.
You need to talk at least to a t-shirt.
I need to talk at least a t-shirt?
Yeah, you have a good booming voice too, so
Yes.
this will actually be able to hear it.
So hopefully you were able to hear everybody else
I'm
on the
just
video.
kidding.
So for those of you that don't know what this is, there's something called the Azure Open Cloud Slot, named Brady, which is made in Azure.
It's a ninja slot, right?
Ninja Sloth, correct.
Ninja
Open Cloud
Sloth.
Ninja Sloth
Oxymoron.
is the definition of what this is. And open source technologies basically can go and grab this icon, Creative Commons license, and make it fit sort of your theme, your colors. And with Service Fabric open sourcing this year, I had a couple minutes extra last week while I was waiting for some of our demos to deploy, and I just hacked together a version. What do you guys think?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
You got a future as a t-shirt designer
Oh, God.
if this doesn't work out for you.
Well, I mean, more on topic with some of the conversations I've had with you guys at least. You've had really interesting constraints as well, not just from a how do we make this deployment perspective smooth, but also rigorous in terms of security, in terms of making sure the pipeline works in a generalizable way across the entire board without violating any of your requirements anywhere else. And obviously that isn't the easiest set of requirements to work with. And we've learned a lot from that process as well with you guys, making sure that the pipelines that we recommend to people are up to grade basically for the level that you guys came in with. How's your experience been with that, and sort of how do you, what is some feedback that you could share with us about making sure we're on the right track to provide a good solution for you guys in the future? So I'm looking at James here specifically, but anybody feel free to.
So the idea of how we're able to streamline our processes, that we leverage the Microsoft tooling. So everything being in code, version, the idea that we can redeploy wherever we need. If we want to put a new cluster on any time, we can have someone run the script, whether it be our container engineering team, an operations team, our environment team. The idea is that we do the infrastructure as code, everything is versioned, we have builds around it, just getting those automated tests in place so we have a full suite of, anything that development practice that we should do as a development team, we do as an infrastructure team.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that it also reduces the amount of governance that we have to do from an infrastructure perspective, right? It's something we don't want our app teams to have to worry about. Are they able to deploy what they're building? It shouldn't even be a thought, right? It should just be baked into the process. And our admins at the same time don't want to have to spend a lot of time babysitting our development teams, right? So it reduces our governance pretty significantly with the more automation and kind of ruthless standardization that we can add into the mix.
Interesting. I've never really heard the babysitting developers. That's the IT perspective for devs.
It is for infrastructure folks, yeah.
Understood.
I guess developers think the same about the operations people, right?
Well,
I don't know if you're
I'll put it
babysitting
this
that.
way.
Maybe you're just hampering, right?
Our infrastructure guys don't like me.
because I'm always the one wanting to use the latest service, right? And that just sends them in fits, right?
So I have a question on that front. I mean, we at Service Fabric, we ship a new version nearly every 60 days, with a support lifecycle lasting about 3 more months after that. What is your sort of plan in terms of how you think, in terms of upgrading clusters? How easy is that for you guys with the system that you have today, keeping developers up to date with coming changes, making sure you're leveraging the best and the newest feature set at all times? Can't be an easy thing to solve.
Apparently, this is a pattern.
We're with him. So we're hoping this is going to be a really easy problem to solve. So this mesh is out, and we don't have to worry about the infrastructure. But we do look at
mesh.
and we do look at it from the perspective of, just like I was mentioning about, we have to treat this as development. We have to, as an infrastructure team ourselves, doing the container platform, we have to treat it where we test it, we performance monitor it, we make sure that you guys haven't slipped something in that causes any performance angst for our application teams, because now our blast radius, where it used to be servers, is now the whole cluster, and there's a much bigger impact on an application or a set of applications, and so we have to make sure we can mitigate that.
That is interesting. It brings up a good point. I mean, how does the introduction of Service Fabric Mesh, which is really container orchestration with no...
There will be a link underneath this video to more information about what Service Fabric Mesh
Michael,
is.
do you want to give us a 30-second?
But I think it's an important question, because they're putting their feet in.
Yeah.
Right? And Mesh is all about just use containers, the serverless, don't worry about VMs, we'll take care of everything. Is that a fair description?
It is.
Okay.
It is very accurate.
So that goes back to my original question. I mean, how do you put your feet in and kind of test the waters with something where you were used to having infrastructure control and now you don't?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay.
And I mean, we just announced. I didn't mean to put Mick on the spot.
So basically,
I mean, you pointed the camera at him, you brought him outside, you said, I'm going to interview you, and then you asked him a hard question, and then you say, you didn't need to put him on the spot.
Let me give a chance to this. So I think we announced this like an hour ago or 2 hours ago. Service Fabric Mesh. So it's going to be the fully managed version of Service Fabric in Azure, which basically means that now you just deploy your applications into Azure. There's nothing about standing up a Service Fabric cluster. Once you have the Service Fabric cluster up and running, then you can start thinking about your applications. Now it's your applications up front. That's what you want to care about. I think compared to what you guys are doing, you're on a path where it's going to be an easy transition, because you already did that. And that's the whole point of what you're doing. Is like you're sort of like separating you're generalizing the contract between your infrastructure and your developers, right? Like your app has like a common interface to the infrastructure underneath, which is the container itself. And a service like Mesh gives you just that. It just gives you the infrastructure and the service to run any container. So I think from your point of view, it should be an easy move. Just go and redeploy the stuff in the Mesh and you're done. Probably going to be some stuff about integration, and definitely from where the Mesh service is at this point, hardly gone into public preview. I don't know if it's a public preview when this video comes out, but let's see. There will be a link that will tell you.
Either way, it's not, you can sign up.
Anyways, you can sign up. But I think what we want to be, and I think it's a general thing for all the stuff we're doing in Azure, is that, and I think it's a thing for Microsoft all up, that it's not just cloud. I mean, cloud native is one thing, and there are things that are born in the cloud. But the fact of reality is that most developers have to deal with something that already runs, and a lot of this stuff doesn't run in the cloud. So the ability of somebody's being sprayed with water. So the ability to bring something existing and having the integration with stuff running on-prem and other places in the cloud is definitely a place we want to get to with Mesh as well, because we know those are scenarios that we need to be able to deliver. Otherwise, the service becomes irrelevant for a lot of people. And you're definitely going to have that need as well. So we're going to get to there with Mesh. We're not there at this point. We're probably not there in the public type of view. But it's definitely a scenario that's core to that service.
And we'll dig in deeper to how it actually all works.
There'll be links.
There'll be links to other videos.
More videos and documents and demos.
So you went to the talk.
Yes.
Cool. What do you think?
Of Mesh?
Yeah, of the talk of Mesh.
Well, he only got to see like 20 minutes because he had a different session in a different place.
Okay. How about you? Oh, you guys, you're right. Speakers.
I got to see the same amount, but I'll tell you what. To me, services like Mesh are kind of the promise of the cloud, where you don't have to worry about the underlying bits, and that's really what we're looking for in terms of something that's serverless, and I just don't have to care as long as the compute always happens in the way I want it to.
Great. Well,
that is the task to solve.
That is the cloud is an operating system.
Yeah,
like when you run your when you write applications for an operating system, you expect that you can allocate memory. You expect that the object manager is going to do what the object manager is supposed to do.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about that.
Yep.
But in distributed systems, which are more complicated, it's nice to have something that'll remove some really hard distributed computing problems. Service Fabric already does that. It's going to be really interesting to see service mesh in the real.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
And for people like you who are going to do really cool things with it. Right?
Absolutely.
And also like
Can't
sending
wait.
email to these guys.
Yep.
Huh? Right on, guys. Anything else you'd like to talk about today, Mikkel, with your guests?
Oh, we're glad having you. We're glad being able to do
Thank you for coming.
And I think one thing that I want to say not only to you but also to the viewers out there is that having a partnership with you as a customer of Service Fabric from us being a product team, and really I think over the last 6, 8, 9 months, I don't even recall how long, we've been in a close collaboration, having people like Colin who's in the field for Microsoft, and being able to really test through the technology and the service we're building with real scenarios with real customers. And I especially remember a few weeks ago when I was in Chicago and visiting you, and you started showing me how you set up all these whole, the platforms. You've become like a little bit, wait, these people are actually using the stuff we're building. They're building something really great with it. So it's a great experience for us. It's great having these interactions. We want to have more of those. If you have something out there with Service Fabric on, you got to call. The phone number is going to be underneath the video here. It's going to be Deep's phone number, by the way. Oh, God. And we were looking forward to your engagement.
Excellent. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Cool. Thanks, Al.
Thank you.